Hello folks. Alright, so today I'm going to go over how we're going to set up our distillation apparatus. Now this is simple distillation, so there's going to be a very short setup on the hot side. Now I'm going to try something different on this video. I'm actually going to build it backwards so you can see all my components. So I'm actually grabbing things from behind. Alright, so I have my glassware set up, and I have my rod to connect my two ring stands, and I have a set of clamps. And I found the non-swivel kind. They don't have the little bracket in the middle. These will not rotate along that axis. That makes it kind of rigid. All right, so, and I got some glass grease. All right, so we're going to start with setting up our hot side. So I'm dropping my hot plate, or my heating manual, right there. And actually, I'm going to raise it up some. And that way, when I'm all done with today's lab, I can actually just drop this. So loosen this up and can lower that down, and I'll get the heat away from our sample. Now, today we're going to be cooking less than 100 milliliters worth of stuff, so I'm going to use a 100 milliliter round bottle. Now, our mantles are designed for the bigger ones, so if I try to put this clamp on here, and secure it into place, it's way too low. See, it's not going to actually be able to get on there. So if we use the small ones, we're not really clamping at the flask itself. What we would do is actually clamp it onto our little L bracket. So we're going to clamp onto this one. And on this lower one, we're going to use one of these ket connectors. All right, so before I do that though, I'm going to want to get that nice and clean, which I've already done, and then add our sample to it. And today's sample, just so I can have something to run, I'm going to make up a quick sample. And all I'm going to do is grab some pure ethanol, and let's go with about 30 milliliters of that. I say pure, but this was lab grade, so it's already impure. And I'll fill up the rest of that to 50 with distilled water. And this will be my sample. Okay, so what's going to go on this is our little downward vat receptacle. And I just need to put a little bit of grease on here. So I just squeezed a little bit out. And you might have to get in the bottle. That's enough. You don't need much of this. It'll spread out relatively easily. And I'm just going to put this on here and spin that. And as long as that grease gets kind of clear on there, I have enough on there. And just to give myself a little bit of added security, use one of these clamps to hold it in place. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and bring this over here and clamp this into place. I thought this was a good idea, but now everything feels backwards. Before I get too comfortable, I am just going to make sure I have enough clearance on my cooling line to go along there. And I do. It's not going to hit my mantle, so I'm good. Now, I'm leaving that off. I'm not putting that on there yet because I need some support for it. So I'm going to get my cooling side ready to go. And all that's going on my cooling side is something to recover in. And I'm going to try, and I will be to raise this over there, to collect it into the graduate cylinder I just used, because I want to see if I can get the 30 ethanol by itself over here. Now, actually, I know I can't, because simple distillation, we're going to get a mixture of stuff coming over. So we won't get exactly 30 milliliters over a pure sample because the ethanol is going to bring quite a bit of the water over with it. But what I'm going to try to do is just keep this at a slow enough simmer, go till it absolutely stops, and that should be well under the boiling point of water, and see how much of it we can collect. And that's what you're going to do too. All right, so I am going to try to get this arranged so it fits down in here. So I am actually going to clamp my graduated cylinder into place. Turn so I can see my numbers. And this is going to end up going in there. Now, what I'm going to do though is kind of get this stuff ready to go, but just keep it all loosely held together. I definitely don't want to drop this stuff. This glassware is too expensive to drop it and break it. That we don't have enough. Get all my fittings greased up. See how much lower that is? So I know I need to come up about 5 inches. So I'm going to set that down so I know it's all greased. I'm going to raise this. And this. Try this setup again, see how close I am now. Oh yeah, that's going to work. That's a good attitude. I am going to go up a little bit more, maybe just another inch. All right, now I'm not just going to put that in there and let it dangle like that. I actually want these two racks to stay, like, move as one object if they were to move. So I do like that distance there. I want this a little bit closer. So I'm essentially figuring out about that distance roughly, and to secure them to each other with one of these little connecting rods. And I'm actually going to put this about the level of that rod. Condenser, because I want to have a clamp off this to hold hold onto the condenser. So that's what I'm using these things for, and this little Allen wrench. relatively secure. So this is ready to dangle in here into place. But right now, this is just resting in my graduated cylinder, so I'm going to be very careful because obviously glass is not a good pivot point. And I want one more clamp because I want something to hold this in place. This on here. And grab that clamp. Similar type of clamp, but it's on a adjustable mount. And I'm just going to put this on here so it holds it. Tight. Now, unlike you, I'm going to now have to disassemble this, move it to the fume hood, and then I'll hook up the lines. And I'll show you that when I get it over to the